Alex, thank you so much for bringing us all that detail. John.
All right, we are standing by as new reaction to the guilty verdict against Donald Trump continues to come in this morning. Donald Trump's former White House National Security Advisor, John Bolton, posted on Twitter, or X as it's now called, "Today's verdict is a fire bell in the night. The Republican Party now has one last chance to change course and not nominate a convicted felon for president." Ambassador John Bolton joins me now. Ambassador, what are you doing here? What was that about?
Well, I think it's going to be a big mistake for the party, for the country, to nominate Donald Trump, precisely because he may well win this election. I'm not going to vote for Biden either, but I think if there's any chance left to get somebody else to replace Trump, which is highly unlikely to be sure, this ought to signal it to people. We've never nominated a convicted felon before, and this is not a good time to start.
You don't actually think there will be a change, do you?
No, but I think people of conscience ought to be thinking about how to approach this. You've heard a lot of criticism of the case on this network the day the indictment came down. I said if Trump is elected, it could be because of this case. But the fact is you've had 12 jurors find him guilty. And that is going to reverberate with a lot of Americans who are not part of the Trump base. And it could endanger not only the country if Trump gets elected, it could endanger other Republicans on the ballot in November.
So there's been a lot of reaction to what you wrote on Twitter overnight. Let me read you one of the nicer ones. This was written by a conservative who says, "I will vote for whoever promises to jail John Bolton for the rest of his natural life." Now, I know it's hard to hurt your feelings. I'm not asking about that. But what do you think this type of reaction to what you wrote says?
Sure. Look, Trump himself has said he's going to run a retribution presidency. He said Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, should be in jail for treason and maybe even hung for calling his Chinese counterpart in connection with January the 6th. And I think that's a real danger. You know, as far as these comments go, I've been vilified by Donald Trump himself. I don't really care about the little leagues.
But you don't care about the little leagues. What does it tell you, though, about the party itself? Let me read one more thing here before. So Larry Hogan, Governor Larry Hogan, who is the Republican Senate nominee in Maryland, and maybe the Republicans' best chance to retake the Senate. I mean, if Republicans want to take the Senate, having Larry Hogan win there would be a huge step. So Larry Hogan writes last night, "Regardless of the result, I urge all Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process." He then goes on, similar stuff here. It's not like he says, "Yay, I love this verdict." So that's what he writes. Chris LaCivita, who's a key figure in Donald Trump's campaign, tweets, "You just ended your campaign."
Yeah, look, this is a mob boss speaking, and that's the way Trump has performed in his business for many, many years. To me, it's less now about this conviction than about Trump's lack of character. Look, all of us have character flaws, myself included, except Donald Trump, because he doesn't have a character to have flaws in. And that is really the concern I have for the party. I just take issue with one thing you said about the direction of the party. I don't think Trump has this party yet. He has a strong following among a certain part of the base, and he has a lot of people who are going to vote for him in the party gritting their teeth because of the alternative.
But LaCivita basically is making this a litmus test for being part of this party going into November.
Bring it on. This is the fight to fight. This is the fight about, are we going to have a Republican conservative philosophy, or is this going to be a cult of the personality? And I'm fully prepared to have that fight.
Do you think you're winning that fight?
I don't think we're winning it right now, but in Washington, as they say, nothing is ever resolved. This battle's going to go on.
You know, so Sean Davis, who writes for the Federalist, or actually runs the Federalist, he actually is suggesting putting a list together of Democrats who should be prosecuted for crimes, or basically saying, let's go after these people now. Do you think that's a good reaction?
That's ridiculous. This is how Trump, the aberration of Trump, is corrupting the political and judicial system. Even if you believe everything about this case and everything about the other cases is wrong, the answer is to take steps to make sure it never happens again. It's not to unleash the same furies against the Democrats. That means we get into a place we may not be able to recover from.
And just before I let you go, again, after everything you just said, you actually don't like this New York case, correct?
I said, again, the day he was indicted, the reference to the federal election law is bad law. The reference to state election law, which is preempted in a presidential election, is bad law. I think there are real issues on appeal here.
All right, Ambassador John Bolton, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate your time, sir.
Glad to do it.
All right, we are learning new details this morning about the murder of an actor on General Hospital. His co-worker says she held him in her arms as he died.